Oh, music, right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the episode Season 1, Episode 26, The Best Night Ever, aka the episode where they go to the Grand Galloping Gala. Also the final episode of Season 1. This episode is all about them going to the gala and finding out everything is exactly not what they wanted it to be, and then trying to fix it coarsely, and then everything going to hell. I like this episode. In fact, I might go so far as to say that this might actually be my favorite Season 1 episode. I'm not sure. I'd have to think about that more. Think about that in a minute. So, we've got the continuity counter now, and I jotted down, so I'm going to just use my own definition of continuity here. Everything I consider significant or noteworthy. Which means the gala itself, Rarity's story of Blue Blood, Pinky's story of the party, Applejack's story of selling things for money, Fluttershy's story of the animals, Rainbow Dash's story of leading the Rubber Bolts, the dresses from the previous episode, the Wonder Bolts remembering the Rainbow Rescue, and that's it. So that's 8 separate continuity markers. I hope this goes through the roof, this counter. In fact, I hope it goes so high, we're just going to use numbers to keep track of it. You know, why, like, the mouse, am I the only one who looked at the mice? Horses? Like, they were just kind of weird. Hi, Mr. Red. Hello, Sean. Like, they looked kind of... And also, why did opalescents go after them? Like, they're not really mice that you could... Anyways. Then the boys are enticed to pull Rarity's card. And, you know, I found myself wondering how much of this they've already seen. You know, how much of this that they use in setting. And then I remembered that in future episodes, we'll see plenty of episodes where horses pull carriages. So I guess it's just kind of a normal thing. I wonder what kind of technological development they have to develop something that they themselves can pull for other people that they're pulling. I mean, pulling cargo makes perfect sense. That's actually a fairly logical way for ponies to pull cargo. It's just people? I don't know. Anyways. So, speaking of real-world technological weirdness, no, you can't come in. We're getting dressed. We usually don't wear clothes. Fine. I mean, it's a valid point. They don't usually... Oh, I just realized. I don't know if this qualifies as a continuity thing, but this is the 4th reference, just in Season 1, of the fact that Spike is pretty well connected in Canterlot. And, you know, knows Canterlot pretty well. Just pointing that out, because that's going to be coming up in the future, I swear. And it's continuing to be a thing here. So, of course, they have the same dresses that they wore. I've actually already mentioned that. And then they play the song, At the Gala, at the Gala. I actually like the song better than I thought. They clearly went all out in designing it. Like, they put a lot of effort into it. And I really like how the song changes just a little bit with each person's section. The most obvious bit, I say it changed a little bit. The biggest way it changed was during Rainbow Dash's section, where they actually brought in the rock guitar and everything. But for the most part, it was just a little bit of variance in tone and beat and which instruments they were using. Just it was cool stuff. Very well done song. Probably not the kind of song I would listen to in my own right, but I can appreciate the technical achievement. So the episode kind of mashes through these very quickly. Twilight's like, yay, I get to be with Senpai. I mean, my teacher. Rarity's like, oh, it's him, and he's even better than I imagined. At least he looks better. Fluttershy being called out to by the creature. Applejack immediately makes a sale. Rainbow Dash saves the sale, that is to say the pie, and gets to show off, getting everyone's attention. And, of course, Pinkie Pie is super excited to be there, and that's when things shift. Can I just say, I find it very interesting they decided to show the shift between everything's exactly what I always wanted and this isn't what I wanted with Pinkie Pie. I mean, she would know a lot about that, wouldn't she? I don't think that was done deliberately, but it is very appropriate in hindsight. Spike was just off at the donut shop. By the way, That's pretty horrible, Imperial Star Destroyer. Yeah, oh, I noted in my notes, is this the first time we ever see Octavia Melody? I think it is. It's the first time I've noticed her, so it doesn't necessarily mean anything. The interesting thing, by the way, everyone wanted the gala to be one specific thing. And then everyone else, it all fell apart. You notice Spike was in that too, right? Like, Spike wanted the gala to be a very specific thing, and then he just kind of leaves the camera until the end, but he had the exact same experience they did, just we didn't actually see it on camera. Just interesting to think about there. So, Rarity starts to see just how bad Blue Blood is. And I love this, really, for two big reasons. First of all, it helps to establish how, if you think Rarity is hoity-toity, you... No. She is mild compared to how bad people can really get. Blue Blood is just... whew. And you know what's funny? I have known one person in my real life who was as bad as Blue Blood is. And they really are just that pompous and self-centered and ridiculous. Like, there's a difference between I just got my hair done and I don't want to mess it up and... oh, yes, I don't want... I can't even fake it. I don't want your commoner food to touch my lips, which is actually what he says later. It's just, oh my god. Now, what's interesting, and I've talked about this before, we've already seen little tidbits about how stupid and terrible the upper elite rich are. Only tidbits. This is the first time we really dig into it, and it will be a recurring theme in the future. This also firmly establishes what I've taken to calling the Sons of Moog effect, which is from over on Star Trek. Now, I know not all of you have watched Star Trek, but to explain a little bit. Sons of Moog effect, which I originally called Worf effect, but then I realized Worf effect is already a thing. It's named after Worf. And the reason it's named after Worf is because Worf is a real Klingon. But he's not a real Klingon. Worf didn't actually grow up with the reality of what being a Klingon meant, all of the internecine politics and the backbiting and the dishonorable conduct. He grew up with the ideal of Klingon conduct. Ideas and stories and tales and records. So, Worf aspires to be the ideal Klingon. That's why I call him the real Klingon. But unfortunately, he fails miserably at actually living up to the reality, and the Klingon Empire in general is nowhere near what he wants it to be. And the interaction between the two is a constant story thread. Same exact thing for Rarity. She has this internal ideal, this mentality of what a noble should be. And she aspires to be that ideal of a noble. And I think she succeeds pretty well. But reality doesn't quite agree with her, and most of the actual nobility, most of the actual upper class, are much, much worse. So yes, I actually said this, I think a year ago, and Shadowlink looked at me really weird. Rarity is the Worf of My Little Pony. Yeah, Celestia, I would agree, actually does manage to be a real noble. I'll actually give you that completely. But then again, the show has gone way out of its way to make Celestia a likable authority figure. They even do that in this episode. So. Oh no, I totally strive for idealism. Although, it's worth noting that I am an exceptionally pragmatic person. But that doesn't stop me from reaching for the ideal. Yeah, Fancy Pants turned out to be cool. He was one of the exceptions. And I think there's one other exception. It's not Fancy Pants' I hesitate to call her his wife, his arm candy. There is another one, though. Doesn't matter. We'll get there. So Rarity sees... Sorry, getting back to the episode proper. Rarity sees just how bad Blue Blood is, and... which leads to Fluttershy being like, okay, well, the animals don't want anything to do with me. That's weird, but maybe I could figure this out. Which leads to Rainbow. This is actually a nice one. Rainbow's trying to hang out, and everyone's talking and loud, and there's just a general white noise level so high that she can't... we can barely hear her, and we're the audience, and nobody can hear each other. I've actually been to a lot of parties like that. I hate that, by the way. When the only way to actually talk is to basically get right into their face and be like, ah, da, 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 and actually talk into their ear. I've been there. What's funny is in my experience, the reason most parties tend to be that way isn't because of the number of people. It's because the noise kind of self-amplifies. Because most people, in my experience, at parties or gatherings or whatever, will not do the lean in and talk into the ear thing. Instead, what they'll do is they'll just raise the volume of their voice. And obviously, when they raise the volume of their voice, other people have hard time being heard, so they raise the volume of their voice, and then they raise the volume. And it's kind of self-replicating until basically everyone in the entire room is just shouting. Anyways. An introvert's nightmare. Behold! So, then Twilight, of course, naturally Celestia is too busy to actually deal with her, which actually is going to be foreshadowing for an episode way later, like a season 5 episode. But this is not the first time we've seen that Celestia has a lot of... There's got to be a proper term for it. A lot of the thing where she has to smile and nod and be the face of the nobility and just, yes, yep, it's nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you. Meet and greet, yep, Has to keep that smile, have to keep smiling, have to keep smiling. Have to maintain that public visage, you know. Which I'm not making fun of, by the way. That is harder to do than it sounds, which is the point of the episode between her and Luna, much, much later. And yeah, you can tell she hates it. Which, again, will come up later. Then Applejack. Poor Applejack. So, first minute, first sale, and then that's the only sale she makes the whole night. Now, that makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I wonder if Applejack really thought about the fact that she was trying to sell treats at a catered party. I mean, obviously, there's the whole, you know, hoity-toity thing, but the fact of the matter is, this is a catered party. They could just go and get the hors d'oeuvres, which are free. So then they mentioned, so they already had, you know, this is going to be the best night ever. Then the gala song happened. The second time they're like, no, we're going to make this the best night ever. Yeah, I noticed that too, Sinister Wing. Yeah, she expected people, it's actually, this is going to sound like a weird connection point, but it's the same mistake a lot of mobile game makers make. They think, well, obviously mobile games make tons of money, therefore I just need to make a mobile game, and it'll make tons of money. Now, of course, you're probably thinking, Laura, mobile games do make tons of money. Yeah, individual specific games. Do you know a ridiculous percentage of mobile games that don't make jack and get shut down after a month? It's close to a 99% failure rate. It's insane. But people just see that 1% and think, aha, that could be me. It's the same problem. Anyways, so they decide, no, we're going to make it work. This is their second mistake. Their first mistake was coming in with unrealistic expectations, but that's fairly human. You know, that's normal. However, what they decide is rather than going with the flow and adapting, what they do is they try to force reality to their expectation. Now, that can work, and I don't want to dismiss that out of hand. I mean, Lord knows I do that all the time because I'm a stubborn bastard, but that is their second mistake. So Fluttershy tries to just kind of catch things and actually imprison animals to force them to interact with her. By the way, am I the only one who looks at that and thinks, you know, the groundskeeper actually seems like a pretty chill guy? He just seems cool, you know? Hey, thanks for the carrot. You know, it's... So, woo. Let's see here. Then Rarity... Or no, Fluttershy does that. Rainbow tries to instigate a problem so she could solve it. Apparently she's going to go into the superhero business soon. Nobody notices. But then Rarity... Yeah, Rarity discovers just how bad Blue Blood really is. This then leads to the Pony Pokey montage. I'll go ahead and admit that I really don't like the Pony Pokey song, but that's just because I don't like the tune. It's actually very well written and very well presented, and you notice that it changes and keeps the melody of the animation that's happening the whole time through. It's very well executed, I just didn't care for it that much. I really love Fluttershy laughing maniacally up against the lightning, though. That was fantastic. So yeah, we have our second montage, which leads to Pinky getting a subscription from Name, or Nami, or Nami, or... I feel really stupid because I can never remember how to pronounce that one. Either way, thank you very, very much. Name that starts with N. Very much appreciate the sub. Thank you. And I put that down towards Outer Worlds. Excuse me. I'm trying, I swear. So, you know, we have the second montage, which leads to Pinky pushing the music up, leading to the stage dive into the cake, which leads to my personal favorite scene in the entire thing. Blue Blood grabs Rarity and uses her as a human shield against the cake. I've already said all I have to say about Blue Blood, and I talked about the Sons of Moog effect and the ideal thing, but that right there is just peak Sons of Moog effect for Rarity. Good God. And you notice when she flips out at him, he's not even remotely bothered by the fact that she's flipping out at him. He's bothered because she has cake on her, and he doesn't want to get the cake on her. Or him. He doesn't want her to get the cake on him. Yeah. No kidding, Sinister Wing. By the way, to go into what people are discussing, I would say Luna's probably, busy working right now because it's nighttime. But that's just my thoughts. Anyway, so this leads to Blue Blood falling into the statue, which leads to Rainbow saving the statue, which leads to Rainbow crushing all the pillars. And that, of course, leads to the second best scene of the episode. You're going to love me! And then there's this great bit where everything's just going to hell. And Twilight's just... and Celestia just goes in, run. And she just says it so simply, run. But then it gets even better. I'm sorry, I keep saying, like, my favorite scene. I've got, like, 3 favorite scenes that are kind of tied here. Because then, oh, Rarity, you left your glass slipper. Now your prince is sure to find you. No! Smash! Immediately breaks the thing. Like, okay, we're okay, we're okay. I loved it, I loved it. So this, of course, led to things being the best night ever! The message of this episode, in my opinion, or at least the one I take away from it, is just because things don't go as planned doesn't mean it's the end of the world. And there's ways to deal with that, but rolling with the punches and being adaptable is kind of important. I mean, that's true for economics and business and world leading and war, but it's also applicable on an everyday level, right? Just because a party or like an evening or... you're hanging out with your friends and you set up a bunch of dip or whatever. Just all sorts of normal ground level stuff can screw up in the exact same way. Which, of course, can lead to this kind of disappointment and this kind of discouragement. Don't let it get to you. Roll with it. Work with it. Adapt. I mean, there's that incredibly famous saying, no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy, right? And then, of course, Spike is there. And what's funny is I bet they would have had a really good night if they'd gone with Spike's plan. I'm just saying. I absolutely... Celestia flat out says that she brought them here for this reason. I think she did. Oh, Tabitha St. Germain is amazing. She is clearly the one. I forget who said it. It's in World War I think. Act. It was one of the German military commanders. I can't remember his name. Schultzky? Either way, yeah, Celestia. Look, Codex, you want reality or you want fake hoot? Hang on, here's the fake quote of the year. Everything is perfect forever. Drugs. Okay, there you go. There's the fake one. Okay, I guess she didn't actually say that. I'm sorry. I always automatically assumed that she, in fact, deliberately brought them in order to shake things up. And yeah, she will go even further the next time the gala happens. I might be mixing up the 2 instances, but considering what she does next time, I wouldn't be surprised if she did that this time. Either way, very good episode, in my opinion. Moltke, I was close. So, yeah. So, for Season 1, we have 5 Rarity Crushes, 14 wah-wahs, 1 Ponyville damage, that's going to go up later. Books get knocked off the shelves 8 times, and we are up to 14 on the continuity counter. Not too shabby. I would say by the continuity counter alone, we're already doing better than Star Trek TNG. Yeah, it's Moltke the Elder. Moltke the Younger is... Because Moltke the Elder, I'm pretty sure he actually said that during the Prussian-French War. I could be wrong about that. Does this count as a wah-wah? What do you guys think? Does this count as a wah-wah? Yeah, I don't remember it being like that. I'll pull up the episode again real quick. Bright screen. There we go. Oh, I gotta mute it, don't I? Mute. Mute. There we go. Jesus. Play. Nah, it doesn't count. That doesn't count. At least I don't think so. I agree, Sinister Wing. This is a good idea. If only I could remember who gave the name Streaminations. Alas, it's lost to history. Either way, we be done with Season 1. And I wanted to talk about Season 1 briefly, since we're here. But before we talk about Season 1, I want to share something that I found out about yesterday. So my niece has been getting into P&P. Now, for those of you who don't know what P&P is, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, if you've ever played Dungeons & Dragons, or Friday Night Firefight, or Cyberpunk, or Stars Without Number, or the Mutants one I can't think of the name of. Yeah, P&P refers to pen and paper. That's the terminology. It is a specific type of tabletop game, which is obvious once I say it. Yeah, so did you know there's an MLP PNP? Because I didn't until yesterday. It's called Tales of Equestria. Tails. So, well, that's because they're insane, Shadowlink. So, apparently my niece has actually looked into this, and they've already started playing an adventure with her father. And apparently it looks... It's actually pretty decent as far as going into it for, you know, a first time kind of a getting into D&D thing. My niece has also already started coming up with the first adventure that she wants to run when she GMs. It's about a pirate who has kidnapped a... Or no, you play a pirate and you have to go save a princess who's been kidnapped. Anyways, I just thought I'd share that because that's absolutely adorable. And I didn't know where else to sell that. Season 1. What'd you guys think of Season 1? Going back through this one. Like, I know quite a few of you have been watching this with me. Now, I've been exposed to a lot of television in my life, and if there's two ways to look at this, in my opinion. The first is just by itself, like comparing MLP to the rest of MLP, in which case Season 1 is demonstrably worse than later seasons, I would say. Not bad, but demonstrably worse. There's a lot of floundering and faltering and early edition weirdness, just all sorts of issues all over the place. And some of the episodes, there's still some really good stuff here. Party of One is still an excellent episode. Best Night Ever is still an excellent episode. Whoops. What else have we got here? There's another one that I really like. Q to My Chronicles. Still really like that one. Winter Wrap Up. That one worked surprisingly well. You know, there's still... Ghostbusters was good. Look Before You Sleep was good. Still some surprisingly good episodes early on. But if I look at Season 1 of MLP compared to the rest of television, it's no surprise why so many people got into this show, in my opinion. Because, well, to be perfectly blunt, usually the first season of a show sucks. I mean, I'll defend Season 1 of TNG, but Season 1 of TNG sucks, right? I just don't think it sucks as much as the internet tends to exaggerate it to. Deep Space Nine, very weak Season 1. Voyager, I know I keep listing Star Trek stuff. Season 1 of the new Doctor Who. Eccleston, lots of weak in that one. So, when looking at television as an aggregate, this one managed to be surprisingly good for a Season 1 thing, and I think that's probably one of the ways it was so strong and managed to endure as much as it did. Yeah, I've heard several reports from interviews that several of the people involved were surprised the show managed to have the endurance and power it did. I'm not. You have a fascinating setting, interesting characters, fantastic animation, surprisingly complex storytelling. Oh, and excellent voice actors, while we're on the subject. I mean, think about it. In fact, let's look at this from a different perspective. I've talked about before... yeah, exactly, Name. Or Name. Or Name. Name. I've referred to several times, I don't have a codified Lorium trope for this, but there's Star Wars, and then there's Jurassic Park, right? Now, if you've never heard me refer to this, Star Wars got lucky. Like, Star Wars should not have succeeded. I'm talking about the original. I'm talking about A New Hope. Star Wars should not have succeeded as much as it did. And by sheer luck and happenstance, it slid perfectly into success. Jurassic Park is the exact inverse of that, because Jurassic Park had all the pieces in place. Everything was in position for Jurassic Park to be a phenomenal work, and it was, right? These are the two types. I've noticed these are the two types of success stories when it comes to fiction: games, books, movies, whatever. They either completely lucked into it, or all the pieces were in place. And in my opinion, MLP is a Jurassic Park. You can quote me on that if you'd like to. Because really, all the pieces were here. They had a lot going for them. And it's obvious, especially because they then took a lot of the ideas and concepts of Season 1 and then would develop them into Season 2. Now, that is, of course, my opinion, because Lord knows My Little Pony, in general, was doing terribly before Friendship is Magic. Shrug? I can't disagree with that. But everything I've seen shows that they had the good talent, and the good talent, as well as good motivation and good drive, and surprising amount of funding early on. So, I'm trying to think, there's actually another example of this. Because every now and again, historically speaking, we've gotten toy commercial cartoons that are just surprisingly good. And it's usually because someone approached it with the idea to make a good show that you could buy toys for, rather than making a show designed to sell toys. Yeah, I suppose Transformers, the original, qualifies. Mighty Max? What's Mighty Max? I don't know what Mighty Max is. I've never seen this show. I see it's a toy line. Never seen these toys either. I believe you. I believe you firmly. Young Justice would qualify, absolutely, now that I think about it. Either way. I had something else to share and I can't remember it right now. I just realized this is our last Streamination of the year. Because next year it'll be 2020. God, that's a weird thought, isn't it? And next week, next year, next decade, we'll be covering the return of harmony. I'll talk more about that when we get there. I want to save that, but I do want to say one thing. One final thought about Season 1 really quick. Because Season 1's good. But when I look at Season 2, you know what I see? Return of Harmony, which is the Discord episode. Lesson 0, that's the one where Twilight finally freaks out for real. Luna Eclipsed, the first Luna episode. Sisterhood Social, really good episode between Rarity and Sweetie Belle. Cutie Pox, Apple Bloom kind of fakes a cutie mark. May the Best Pet Win, where we meet the best pet of the show, Tank. Mysterious Mare-do-Well, which is going to be, you know, the Rainbow Dash learns a lesson kind of thing. Sweet and Elite, which is another, you know, Moog effect, Sons of Moog effect thing. What else we're going to have here? We're going to have Baby Cakes. They're going to have children. Heartswarming Eve. I really like that one where they have their Christmas tale thing. The Last Roundup, where they find out about the rodeo. The Super Speedy Cider Squeezy, where the Flim Flam brothers show up. Read It and Weep, where Rainbow Dash realizes that she is also a geek, because she totally is. Even already, she's a geek. You saw in this episode how much she flipped out over hanging out with the Wonderbolts. Hearts and Hooves Day, that's hysterical. That's the one where they use the love potion on Cheerilee and Macintosh, Big Mac. A Friend Indeed, which has the best song in the entire franchise, and also introduces Cranky Doodle Donkey. Putting Your Hoof Down, which introduces the Minotaur dude, whose name I can't remember. It's About Time, which is a Type 1 time travel story. Dragon Quest, where we finally find out about other dragons. Hurricane Fluttershy, which is great. Ponyville Confidential, which is great. Mystery on the Friendship Express, which is great. And The Canterlot Wedding, which is when we are introduced to the Changelings. This is like 90% excellent episodes in Season 2. Alright, Shadowlink. Even though we're not going to get there for probably a couple months, it looks like. Why don't you like putting your foot down? Oh, the Changelings are great. Like, when the Changelings start out interesting, but they really develop them later on. I love that stuff. Then we got Season 3, which introduces the Crystal Empire. Yeah. Trixie goes crazy and then gets redeemed. Rainbow joins the Wonderbolt Academy. Discord gets his second episode. And, of course, Magical Mystery Cure. And then that's it, because Season 3 was really, really short, because they were intending it to be the end, as we've talked about before. Then they're like, oh, we need to make a Season 4? Okay, why don't we do Princess Twilight Sparkle, Castlemania, Daring Don't. God, these are such good episodes. I can't wait for these. Bats, which is one of my other favorite songs. Ah, okay, I'm with you on that, Shadowlink. Another Discord. Discord starts having episodes every season from this point onwards. Inspiration Manifestation. That's the one where Rarity gets a magic book that superpowers her and turns her obsessive. That's a good one. Twilight's Kingdom. Yeah, that's a fun one. Of all the races, which do I like most? Oh, jeez. I don't know. I'll have to think about that as we go through it. Also, Season 5 has one of my favorite episodes in the entire show, which is Slice of Life. And one of my least favorite ones, Princess Spike. I swear they have good Spike episodes somewhere. I mean, I guess Manifestation is a good Spike episode, so I'll give you that one. And then, of course, at the end of Season 5, we're introduced to Starlight, who I like. by the way. Although she doesn't really have anything to do until, let's see. Yeah, season 6 is when Starlight actually becomes one of the main 7. Now, the show just keeps getting better, because then we're in season 7. Or, excuse me, this is season 6. I'm sorry, I get my numbers wrong. And that's when Maud starts to be a more regular character. We have the dragon stuff. Another heartwarming song. In fact, that's when they do their Ebenezer Scrooge episode. Rarity opens her shop in Canterlot. The changelings start developing. That's when they have the Vegas episode, too. And, of course, Pony Point of View, which I like those types of episodes in general. And finally, To Where and Back Again, which is another of my favorite episodes. I'd give you that, Lord Harriman. I'd give you that. So that's 2 good Spike episodes we're up to. Then we're on to season 7. And I think I've seen a couple of these. This is when I stopped. This is when I was only watching the show intermittently with my niece, so I didn't actually see a lot of these. I have seen Shadow Play, although I saw that one on my own. And I have seen the episode with William Shatner in it, because of course I have. And then season 8, I haven't seen at all. This is all new to me at this point. There's apparently an episode about Hearts and Hooves Day. Oh my god. The Flim Flam Brothers. They're interesting, especially when it comes to villains for this kind of a thing. Good morning, Braywin. Anyways, I've probably meandered enough here. Let's go back to season 2, which is where we're actually at. So I'm going to go ahead and chop off the local recording. See you guys next year.